Hey everyone, how you doing today? Richard Taylor here. We're going to be talking about what else? The Mac Pro. It's been in the news for a couple of weeks now. Let me just shut that down. There we go. So there's a couple of new developments that I've discovered about the Mac Pro that I've thought I'd share with you today. My Mac Pro, of course, is over here. You can't see it. I'll show it to you in a minute. And it's doing fantastic. You can't even hear it. It's on right now, and the microphone's live. You cannot hear it. It's completely silent under normal operations. Isn't that astounding? It's astounding to me. It is astounding. I am amazed that it's that quiet. It's just incredibly that quiet. But anyway, there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to go over. They're kind of things you might have seen. I'm not sure if you have or not, but the main source of articles, I'm going to plug it, FCPX.TV is where you want to go. Look, I've got 60 articles listed there right now. 60 separate articles. Let's see if I can pull those up. Here we go. So here it is. 60 articles. What the heck's going on there? I don't want to... Current application. Why is it showing all that stuff? I don't know why it's showing all that stuff. I must have the there we go. So here is the list. This is the master list that I have. As you can see, FCPX.TV. Look at all these articles, Mac Pro articles. I have them separated by different sections. Now this section here is Apple support documentations. We'll go over a few of these live, and all these other articles. Just go to fcpx.tv, and there's tons of them over there. There's a couple that I'm going to reference in today's broadcast, so let's turn those on. I'm going to turn that off, turn it back on, and you do this. There we go. There we go. So there's a couple of interesting things that I've found out. There's been some discussion about the SSD drive in the Mac Pro and whether that's replaceable or not. Well, it's physically replaceable, yes. It is physically replaceable. As a matter of fact, let's watch this for a second. This is one of my favorite teardown videos. This guy he shows you how to take the SSD out.
Not notice, and what Apple doesn't really say is user accessible, but technically from a physical level it is the SSD, which you can find right there. Now I only have one of them. If you have a larger configuration, you'll actually find that the drives are in RAID 0 and therefore very, very, very fast. And these are the exact same SSDs that are inside the iMac Pro. Now, the reason I say they're not user accessible is because while I can get access to them and remove them, they're keyed, they're not soldered, they are tied to the T2 chip and authenticated specifically to this machine. What that means is if I go on eBay and find an old iMac Pro SSD, it's not going to work. The only way you can upgrade and replace these SSDs are directly through an Apple authorized service provider, which is...
So that's the best I can figure is that they are physically able to pull those SSDs out, but there's a security feature with the Apple T2 chip, which requires the SSD to be registered or whatever. I think it's serial number kind of a thing. So can you physically do it? Yes, you can. That's pretty darn small. Yes, you can physically do it. However, it's not advised. There's two things. There's three steps when I bought my SSD. What I figured on. The first thing I did was I got the biggest CPU that I think I'm going to be needing. So I got the 16-core CPU. That's the first thing I recommend. The second thing I recommend is getting the largest SSD drive, so that's not going to be an issue. I would suggest at least the 1 terabyte, but I got the 2 terabytes. I've been living with the 1 terabyte for a while, but I got the 2 terabytes. So those are the first two things that I recommend upgrading if you're going to upgrade things for if you're going to buy a Mac Pro. What fascinates me with this whole Mac Pro situation is that people that aren't going to buy a Mac Pro are interested in the Mac Pro a lot. They're very interested in the Mac Pro from the Final Cut Pro community or whatever. And I find their interests fascinating because they're not going to buy one, but they're still interested in the whole situation with the Mac Pro. Now, there's been a couple. Max Yuriev did a video on specifically using Final Cut Pro with the Mac Pro, and he compared it to his iMac Pro, and it's always beating the iMac Pro by a factor of 2 or 3 doing the same task. I think there was one task that he did that they were kind of the same because the iMac Pro has that H.265 chip or something in there that makes it easier to do that. But everything else, the Mac Pro, as you would expect, is 2 or 3 times twice as fast as the best iMac Pro that he had. So that's also on FCPX.tv. That one's listed on there. Let me just turn that down real quick. There we go. So let's just check there. I'm going to check Facebook comments. There we go. So we got a comment, long live Final Cut Pro 10. That's on our Facebook group. Let me just pull that up real quick. If you don't belong to many Facebook groups, so here we are live on the Facebook group. Now here is the comment, long live FCPX. Of course, absolutely. We're expecting big things in 2020 from Final Cut Pro. I know I am. I'm expecting big things because it's taken so long. The version 10.5, whenever it comes out, it is, they've had over 2 years now. Over 2 years. Let me pull that up real quick. So that's interesting. What's going on there? There we go. So I'm going to pull this up. I have a counter up here at FCPRadio.com. So this counter is counting the amount of time since Final Cut Pro 10.4 came out. So far it's been 2 years and 5 days. It's 2 years old at this point. That's a long time for a Final Cut Pro update between full number updates. So you can find that there as well as the podcast. Of course, the podcasts are there as well. The latest one is FCPX Summit Part 1 and Part 2. I have a new one coming out. These are the audio podcasts, FCP Radio. I have a new one coming out in the next couple of days before Christmas. And then I'll probably have another one out between Christmas and New Year's, the audio version. So anyway, let's get back to the Mac Pro. So one of the things that you'll be able to do that Apple recommends that Apple says you can do is replace your own RAM. So this is where I'll be getting my RAM, OWC, MacSales.com. So I'm probably, because you can mix and match as far as I know. I mean, here's the prices. The prices are not cheap. Here's 1 terabyte. Here's 1.5 terabytes is $20,000 for 1.5 terabytes. So I'm not doing that. I'm either going to get 16 gigabyte modules or 32 gigabyte modules post. I have 6 sticks right now. I have 48 gigabytes. 6 8 gig sticks. So the 8 gigs are how much? The 8 gigs are like $80 a piece. So I got 8 times 6, $449 for, I think I paid like $600 Apple price, something like that for the original. But I'm going to probably get 2 32 gigabyte chips to start out with when I need it. I don't need it yet. For $400, I'll probably get these 2. I'll check and see what they have to say. So we're going to talk about that next, Tim. Just one of the things I was going to talk about today. Tim asks, did you see the OWC Excelsior storage upgrade for the Mac Pro? I did. We're going to visit that right now. Let me see right here. Look at this. Over 6,000 megabytes per second. Is that crazy? Now, the way they achieve that, first off, 6,000 megabytes per second. It's a RAID 0. That's an RAID 0. It has 4 M.2 NVMe SSDs. That's how it gets that speed, because it's rating all 4 into RAID 0. The prices are not that bad. So this works. That's crazy. It is crazy, Tim. It absolutely is. This 6,000 megabytes per second, and the prices aren't that bad. 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes. I would probably maybe get the 2 terabytes, something along those lines if I wanted it. I don't need it right now. I got plenty of storage. It's incredible. Now, people ask about this. Now, what this is, it's a PCIe card with the drive in it. There it is right there. So it says it's bootable. So you insert this in one of the PCIe slots, and that's how it works so fast. That's how it's so fast. 6,000. Now, here's the thing. People are asking, and I know I did. I said, well, can it be used in an eGPU with like the Mac Pro, the iMac Pro, I mean? Yes, it can. However, you're not going to get 6,000 megabytes per second. You're going to get, there's a little thing down here at the bottom, little note. Performance in a Thunderbolt 3 PCIe expansion chassis limited by maximum Thunderbolt 3 PCI bandwidth, 2,800 megabytes a second. So that's still not bad. That's what the native one is, but it's not anywhere close to over 6,000 that the Mac Pro is going to offer. Now look at this, also a 5-year warranty. That's a fantastic warranty. OWC is a great company. But 6,000 megabytes per second with the PCIe, it's a single slot. I think it can go in any of the slots. No extra cables needed, 30-day money-back guarantee. There it is. It says highly versatile, installs into a full height, half length, x8 or x16 PCIe 3 or 2.0 slot. So that is incredible. I'll probably be getting one of those because 6,000 speed is absolutely incredible. Isn't it? Don't you think? Looks pretty sweet. That's crazy. It is crazy. So 6,000 megabytes per second inside the Mac Pro in one of the PCIe slots. So here we got a question. K-State College of Education. What are your thoughts on the Afterburner card for working with ProRes files? Is it worth it if you are already working with native 4K ProRes 422 files? So here's the deal on the ProRes, the Afterburner card. I fully intend to get one, okay? I'm not going to get one right now because I'm not working with ProRes. I have a GH5, my trusty old GH5 that I have, and I love this camera. This camera is one of the best cameras I've ever had. It's just so many. It has so many features packed into it. It's just an incredible camera for the price. And it's really, right now you can get it for a really good price. This is the optional XLR audio you can put in there, line level or mic level audio, and it has physical dials, which I really like. Physical dials for the audio. So anyway, what I'm waiting on is to see what my next camera is going to be. It's probably, I'm waiting on the GH6 to see what happens with the GH6. So until then, I'm not really in the market for another camera. My GH5 and my iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I have a GH4, which I'm streaming on right now. So I have two 4K cameras with lenses, and I have my iPhone 11. I'm not really in the market for one right now, but I'll be curious what the GH6 brings to the table. So as far as the Afterburner card, I expect at some point I will be using ProRes or ProRes RAW media. And at that point, the Afterburner card will be beneficial to me. It's very easy to install. If you don't have the money, you don't have to buy it from the beginning. If you're working with Blackmagic cameras, the 4K or the 6K, both of those shoot in ProRes. Other cameras shoot in ProRes as a native format. If you're shooting native format, the Afterburner card certainly will help. However, here's the thing. If you're on a budget when you're buying your Mac Pro, okay, if you don't have money to buy everything at the beginning, I would not get the Afterburner card. I would spend the money on a better graphics card. Here's the reason. The Afterburner card only benefits ProRes and ProRes RAW. It does absolutely nothing for anything else you do on your Mac Pro. Only video editing with ProRes and ProRes RAW. If you get a better graphics card, that will affect everything that you do. It'll affect web surfing, and it'll affect everything, not just ProRes and ProRes RAW. So the Afterburner card, so far, they say it can be flashed, and it might be flashed to do different things, maybe work with red, I don't know. So far, it's only beneficial to ProRes and ProRes RAW workflows. So keep that in mind. If you have to decide between the two, I would recommend getting a better graphics card, doing the Afterburner card later. You can add it yourself. It's very easy. It takes the PCIe slot right next to the built-in slot that they have. Works calling, gotta go. So here we go. I'm waiting for Red Afterburner card optimization, shooting Red 8K using proxies, mostly on an iMac Pro. That's exactly correct. Red has announced that they have announced that them and Apple have worked out something that's coming out in the next major version of Final Cut Pro. So here's another comment here. K State College of Education. Thanks for your comments. Basically, what we're hoping for is something that can natively edit 10-bit files. We shoot a lot of Vericam and GH5. Now, I've been editing native 10-bit files on my 2017 iMac for a year or so. Now, I'm not doing multicam, but this is the first computer that I had that I can actually edit natively 10-bit files. So I'm not sure, but I can do it, single stream. Now, one of the other things is Apple, one of the reasons I bought this Mac Pro now instead of waiting until 2020 like I originally was going to do is Apple gave back 6% until December 31st on it. So I already got the check back for that. The cash is already in my Apple cash. It's already there. So that's available. And plus, I got to trade in my 2017 iMac on the deal. And Apple gave me $1,400 for that. It's comparable price to what I could find on eBay. They sent the shipping box. I already got the shipping box, so I'll be wiping that drive completely clean, backing it up first, of course, wiping it clean, and then I'll pack it up and ship it back to Apple, and then they'll credit me $1,400 on that. When can I use the SSD from OWC as boot drive in the Mac Pro? And then I would, let's see what he says, then I would order the smallest SSD from Apple and buy the accelerator SSD. Well, here's the thing, though. I don't want a 256 gigabyte boot drive. That's not enough for me. At least get the 1 terabyte. I mean, I like to have space and speed. Even though you can boot from the SSD from OWC, it's more for just, well, whatever. But I wouldn't get the 256. That just seems tiny in 2019. I'm surprised Apple even offers that. I would have thought they would have started at 1 terabyte, but 512 minimum. So I would not recommend the 256 under any circumstances, unless you were completely strapped for cash. I would get at least the 1 terabyte. I got the 2 terabyte. So speaking of, let me see what we got here. Is there any information about Final Cut Pro 10.5 with the Mac Pro release? There's information somewhere. I don't have it. I don't know. 2020? I mean, my guess is going to continue to be NAB. They're going to have it out by or before NAB. And here's how we're going to know about that. If Apple makes an announcement that they're going to do a session at NAB, okay, they didn't do one last year, but they did one 2 years prior. And it was announced in February. There was an announcement there's going to be an Apple session. They're not on the show floor, but they have an Apple session up in some of the Future Media Concepts classrooms where Apple presents. If Apple announces they're going to present at NAB this year, sometime in February, my guess is that's going to be 10.5. They're going to show us 10.5. That would be my guess. But, I mean, 10.5 can come out at any time, can it? Yes, it can. We know that. So one of the things, let me see. Our 2013 Mac Pro trash cans with D700s cannot natively edit GH5 10-bit footage without transcoding. Okay, well, see, I got the 2017 iMac, and that's one of the reasons that I got it. You're able to edit 10-bit files natively. Now, once again, if I'm doing multicam, I transcode to ProRes LT before I edit. So in that case, yes, but no, I can edit the 10-bit files natively on the 2017. So that's interesting that you can't edit it on those Mac Pros. So let's do this. Let me see if I can get that up there. So one of the things, what's going on there? That's interesting. trying to show you something with my other camera, but it's not showing up. I mean, it's not working for some reason. Let me just see if I can. Nope. Let me see what's going on there. Camera. No, it's frozen. Let's see if it comes back now. There we go. So look at this. My iMac that I had 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. Look at all my bottom. This is my Vega 2 card is already filled up. HDMI is going to the monitor, and I got 4 Thunderbolt 3s. And even at the top, I have another couple of the Thunderbolt 3s already taken up. Already. So how did I ever get by with just 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports? I will never know. Have no idea how that worked, how I did that all those years. And then the top, if I can get you to the, I can't show you the top, the cable's not long enough. And the top, I also have a Thunderbolt 3. I keep those at the top of the Mac Pro open. So if I just plug in, I can just plug things in pretty easily there. So the things we know we can replace with, let's see here, something. So Jasper Seeger says, what kind of projects are you going to edit on your Mac Pro? Everything, obviously, but are there any specific that you'd like to try out in the Mac Pro? Absolutely. So I'm going to try, I stopped shooting 10-bit on my GH5 because I wasn't utilizing the 10-bit aspect of the video. So I went back to 8-bit. I've been shooting 4K for years. I've been shooting 4K on my GH4, on my iPhone 6S Plus, shot 4K, and now the GH5. And I was shooting 10-bit initially, but then the files, I wasn't using those files. I wasn't using the 10-bit part of it. I mean, I was using just YouTube and stuff. So I dropped back to 8-bit. So what I'm going to do now with the Mac Pro is I have this documentary, a couple of documentaries I'm working on, and as I'm shooting, I'm going to shoot 10-bit, and I'm going to try 10-bit multicam natively and see how that works on the new Mac Pro. I'll report that back. The other thing that I wanted the Mac Pro for, first off, I wanted the Mac Pro because I love the form factor. That's one of the main reasons. I love the old cheese grater form factor of the Mac Pro. I just love being able to take graphics cards in and out, take SSDs in and out. I love that. One of the guys that did a breakdown today took the CPU, two people that I've seen have taken the CPU out. It's just socketed, a regular socket, standard socket. The one person said that the CPU, he put some other CPU in it, and it worked fine. There was no problem. I think the only issue is going to be the SSD, the one that's protected by the T2 security chip. So I'm going to do 10-bit multicam to see if I can do that natively. The other thing, though, is when I do high track count audio in Logic, I want to see how many plugins I can use before I reach capacity. That's the other thing I'm going to be doing. I have Logic, and some of my tracks are 48, 64 tracks, and you're limited on what you can do. You have to do staging, and you have to use sub-mixing and stuff to get that, to make it effective. I want to see how far I can push it for that as well. So Photo Joseph has a YouTube video where in the majority of cases the new Mac Pro does better than the Mac Pros. Personally, I think go to Max Urev, and he'll show you that the Mac Pro beats the iMac Pro handily on everything that it does. So I don't know what Photo Joseph is doing with the MacBook Pro. There's no way that that's beating it. Maybe on some specific hand-picked, cherry-picked cases. but I doubt that's going to be the same going on. And besides, it's not just the CPU, it's the afterburner card, and it's this massive 32 gigabyte GPU that is pretty incredible. And you know what? I have a MacBook Pro. I rarely use it. I know a lot of people use it as their main, but I don't use the MacBook Pro. Even when I had my iMac back here, the 2017, I'd go out to the MacBook Pro, and I'd always come back here, and I'm like, why am I doing on the MacBook Pro when I got this beautiful screen back, a couple feet away? So I'm not a MacBook Pro person. If I had to, that's not a problem. I could do it, but I use my MacBook Pro for just other things besides editing. And the other thing that I did with this when I got this Mac Pro is I switched from the iMac screen, which is beautiful. Now I got a 34-inch wide LG monitor, and I love it. It's just fantastic. It's very 34 inches, 21 by 9, I think the aspect ratio is. And I just love working on a screen like this. That little teeny screen of the MacBook Pro, that's not for me. I can't do that. I mean, I could if I had to. Just if I was out, if I had to, because I had the portability, that's fine. But I'm not. That's not for me. I'm not interested in that. The screen's too small. The keyboard's too small. Doesn't have a numeric keypad. I like the mouse. I have a trackpad as well, but so it's not for me. So as far as the projects that I'm working on, I'm going to try 10-bit multicam and see how that works out. That'll be my test. Other people have done plenty of tests with the Mac Pro, and it's just sparkling. It's just incredible. Let me pull up some of those. Let's go here. So we have these 4K multicam project with 15 streams of 4.5K ProRes 444XQ. Try that on the MacBook Pro. You're not going to get anything close to that on the MacBook Pro. Ain't going to happen. You're not going to get 6,000 megabits per second speed with an internal drive on the MacBook Pro. So, let me see something here. So this is one of the best teardowns that I've seen. iFixit, of course. They did a great teardown. They even took the CPU out. This is one of the best. Once again, you can go to fcpx.tv, and I have all these articles listed for everybody. They did an X-ray of the Mac Pro. I'm not sure why. It's pretty empty. I mean, without all those PCI slots filled up, it's pretty empty. This is ridiculous. They did the cheese grating thing. That was just a little showboating that they did. Of course, that doesn't mean anything technically. And when you pull this top off like this, one thing I've noticed is that it's very very tight fit, which I kind of like. It's got gaskets and things inside there. So that's pretty cool. And this case itself is heavy. It's not light. Even though it's made out of aluminum, it's not light. Something else that people don't perhaps realize, the boxes that this thing came in. Now, this is amazing. The boxes, if I'm not mistaken, were 82 pounds. The box was 82 pounds when the Mac Pro came. It's 2 people have to carry that thing. But the Mac Pro is only about 39 or 40 pounds. That means the boxes are 30 to 40 pounds. The box is like a fort. The box that's inside the cardboard box is like a fort, but it weighs 30 to 40 pounds. I'm not sure what that is about, but that's the case. I mean, I couldn't lift the box from UPS myself, but I can lift the Mac Pro with easily. It's just like the older Mac Pros. They're a little bit heavy, but I got the handles on top. These handles are much better than the old Mac Pro handles because they were sharp. They were stamped metal or whatever they were, and they were sharp. So here's the iFixit. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You guys can go and look at it, but it goes through everything. And you can replace the wheels. You can actually take the feet off. Apple doesn't, I don't know, I guess they'll sell you the wheels themselves. Maybe they won't, but I think Apple just requires you to take it into them, don't they? I think they do. But you can get those feet off and do the wheels if you wanted to. They still might be $400. The I/O board, of course, this is the I/O board that Apple has. Snaps in place like that. All PCI cards are locked in place by a single switch I handily labeled as step 2. So this is a really good teardown. It's really, really good. iFixit. There's a couple of them. There's one on the video which I really like. So this is the PCIe module. It comes right in there on the back side where the blower is, and it's not physically. You can certainly physically take it out. Physically taking it out is not the problem. The problem is it has to be blessed by the T2 chip. So that's the problem, and I don't know how they're going to... Listen, of all the things to worry about, I wouldn't worry about the startup drive. Just get whatever you can, and you can put other storage in it. I wouldn't be messing with that necessarily. I mean, I didn't. I got a 2 terabyte, so I'm fine because I've been on a 1 terabyte for years. So apparently, from what I've read, so what it says, what a pleasant surprise, removing the blower fan housing reveals a teeny tiny SSD. We're happy to see a modular SSD, but not happy about it bound to the T2 chip, meaning user replacements are a no-go. And it says, that said, there are plenty of other ways to add storage, so it's not a total loss. The SSD looks familiar. Apple seems to be reusing the same design we saw on the iMac Pro. So that's good. So that's really interesting that they did that. Now, of course, the fans and all that, I'm not going to be doing anything with that. But the fact that this thing is very easy to take apart is fantastic. Now, this is interesting. This is the speaker for the for the Mac Pro. I guess it's some kind of a bass-enhanced speaker or something. So this, anyway, you can go to, once again, you can go to FCPX.tv, and that's where all these articles are. Mac Pro Essentials Guide. What is this? I don't even remember. I'll take a tour of the Mac Pro, so it tells you all the things. This is Apple's, of course. So I have all my Thunderbolt 3 ports filled up except for these two. These two I don't have. They're my ones that are easily accessible. Look, when I got this Mac Pro, I thought that I was going to be putting it under my desk because of the noise. It's sitting on my desk. It's sitting right here. So let me see if I can get you a picture of this. Let me see if the iPhone's going to behave itself, and I'll show you. It's just sitting right here. That's a pain. Let me get that away from that. In order to use the iPhone with these live streams, I have some software and it doesn't really work. So I have to have it cabled in. Oh, that's interesting. So I can't really show you that. Nah, I really can't show you. But it's sitting right here next to me. On the desk, and you can't hear it. It's just completely silent. But like I said, one of the other factors of the Mac Pro is that I love the form factor. I've always loved the Mac Pro form factor, the old cheese grater. So this one is just a complete upgrade. It's so easy to take apart. It's so easy to take graphics cards in and out of. You can do, the OWC, PCIe SSD. Of course, you can connect everything, RAIDs and stuff, via Thunderbolt 3, so you'll get plenty of speed that way. If you get an 8-drive RAID, it's going to be very, very fast. And, that's some of the things that I would recommend about it. So there's a couple, like I said, go to fcpx.tv. Turn that on for you. Oh, that's not it. There we go. Yeah, so go to fcpx.tv, and I have all the articles up here, dozens and dozens of articles. Inside and outside the Mac Pro and pictures. I mean, there's just like everybody has articles about the Mac Pro. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So a Mac Pro can cost $53,000 for a workstation. That's nothing. I've seen comparisons where some of these workstations were $80,000, $90,000, $120,000, HP or whatever. There's a lot of good information out there. Just go to fcpx.tv. That's where I recommend. Let's see what else we have. Anything else here of interest? I'll look here before I bring it on screen. Here's a nice picture of a complete teardown. There's the complete teardown. I mean, it's pretty empty. That's one of the things that was kind of surprising about the Mac Pro. It's pretty darn empty because all the PCIe slots that are available. The motherboard is gigantic, apparently. I wonder if they're going to have a repair manual for an official repair manual for it. I don't know. But there's plenty of articles over there at fcpx.tv. So if you have any other questions, I think that's going to be it for today. I do want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate for the holidays. I'm going to have just a regular old Christmas. You can see Santa back there. Now, this Santa Claus that I have in the background, my father made that when I was a youngster. He made that, and he had all the different Santa Clauses, and he had a couple choir boys and a nativity scene, and we used to put them on our front yard. So that Santa Claus is very, very old. It was handmade. I wouldn't put it out in the yard anymore because people steal Christmas decorations all the time. So I put it out for an hour or two and keep an eye on it, but people, I don't know what's wrong with them, but they steal the Christmas decorations. Let's just check on Twitter and see what's going on Twitter. So they have Mac Pro prices. So once again, if you're going to get a Mac Pro, if you have an Apple card, now's a good time to get one. Lutz says, Happy Christmas from Germany and the best Christmas markets in the world. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're beautiful over there. So let's see if there's anything else. Mac Pro. I'm just checking Twitter right now to see if there's anything on Twitter. Let's see. So Twit did a ridiculous Mac Pro They didn't have a Mac Pro to tear down. They just played other people's videos. There's the Excelsior card. So Eric Emmerich says, I want my Final Cut Pro 10.5. I think we all want that. It's coming. It's going to be here in 2020. I have a feeling it'll be here for NAB, which is April, or like right before. But like I said, we'll find out about that. And probably like if they don't make the announcement in January or February, then they're probably not going to be. I'll do some checking and see what I can find out if they're going to present at NAB, because they traditionally did it in February, like I said. Simo says, hi from Santa Barbara. How you doing? You guys have warm weather. Today, right now, it's not bad. It's 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Yesterday, it never left the 20s here on the East Coast. It was very, very cold. So I have a wood-burning stove where in my house that provides most of the warmth, but that's cold. That's very cold. What else do we have? I've seen some on YouTube, some of the performance of the Mac Pro that barely uses the CPU and barely uses the GPU. What is mine doing right now? Yeah, it's not much. It's like nothing's happening. Load average, I'm not sure what the heck that is. But I'm looking at right now, it's like nothing. It's like maybe 5% of the CPUs are doing anything at all. CPU, yep, not much. Not much at all. So anyway, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, whatever you guys. What do you think is going to happen in 2020? 10.5 is going to be the big Final Cut Pro news, I'm sure. I'll come back on here live whenever something is talked about. I was kind of surprised about the SSD being so easy to physically pull out, but like I said, I think the T2 chip has to bless it. Graphics cards are simple to do. They're not any problem. The accelerator card is easy to do. Let me see what else is there. Just real quick. So here's the article. Mac Pro 2019 MPX module GPU, unexpectedly easy to upgrade. It's very simple to do. I don't even think you need any tools. I'm not sure, but I don't think you need any tools. So Apple has a bunch of videos, which is nice, showing you how to upgrade things. So once again, go to FCPX.TV. Let me see something here. FCPX.TV. That's where you want to go. Let me just pull this up and take this off. And I think, there we go, right here. FCPX.TV. I have a master list of articles on Mac Pro. 60 articles right now, I think, and videos. So you can go there and find out about all kind of stuff. That is what's going on there. FCPX.TV. I think that's it for today, everyone. Let me see if there's anything else here. So the thing about here, the Radeon Pro, the thing about the MPX module, these MPX, so MPX stands for Mac Pro Expansion. Mac Pro Expansion. So this is interesting. This is at the bottom, what I showed you at the bottom of my Mac Pro. I have my monitor, my LG monitor plugged in here, and I have these 4 occupied. I think 2 of them are going to RAIDs. I have RAIDs, Thunderbolt RAIDs under the desk. And one of them's going to a OWC dock that gives me a lot of USB ports. As a matter of fact, even with this Mac Pro, because I have an older OWC dock, I have FireWire 800 on there. So with this Mac Pro, I still have FireWire. And what else do I have? Well, just a bunch of USB slots, but the one that I have specifically is an older one. It's Thunderbolt 2. That's why the adapters are on there. I have FireWire 800 on this Mac Pro. I also have a USB 3. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. I have a USB 3 Blu-ray DVD burner. Let me see if I can get that, if that'll work or not. Oh, yeah, it's working. Let me see. It's weird because, well, I'll just show you. Let me show you there. So there's my Blu-ray DVD burner that I have hooked up via Thunderbolt 3. So I have a Blu-ray DVD burner, plus I have FireWire 800 with my Mac Pro. Crazy, because I have some older docks. That's why I wouldn't get that now. I do have a lot of DVD tapes and HDV tapes that I'm not going to really plan on digitizing them, but I might at some point, if I get a rainy day or two, I might go ahead and digitize a bunch of them and catalog them. Here's my next big purchases this year. If the GH6 comes out, there's a Panasonic event at the beginning of January. They've made an announcement. Don't know what it's going to be, but it could be GH6. I hope it is. The other interesting thing is Apple is going to be at CES this year. Now, somebody from Apple is talking on the security panel. That was interesting, but I saw that it popped up in Apple News. So Apple hasn't been to CES since '94, I think, and now they're returning to CES. So let's see what happens with NAB this year. So can you see the increase in power during the standard edition on the H.264 material on the Mac Pro? I haven't used this Mac Pro with Final Cut Pro yet. I've just been doing other things. The first thing I had to do is I have an L-shaped desk, and I had the Mac Pro, the iMac here, and I had the 34-inch LCD screen over here. And so I had to tear that all out. I'm going to have to rebox the iMac and send it back to Apple. So now I just have the LG monitor, which I really, really like. The GH4 is above the LG monitor. That's hooked up via HDMI to some kind of an HDMI to USB adapter over there. I have my Apollo Twin X for the audio interface. I have two audio interfaces. This is let me take the thing off there. Well, I'm not going to take it off. This is a Neumann TLM-103 microphone. It's a studio microphone. It's an extremely high quality microphone. And so I had to reset everything up. And even though I used, what do they call that when you transfer data from one Mac to the other? I did that. I did applications and I did settings, but I didn't do my user account. My user account, it was too large. It was like a couple hundred gigabytes because I have downloads and stuff on the desktop. So I didn't do the user account. And because I didn't do the user account, I have to put things back manually. I got to reserialize applications one at a time and stuff. Not that big a deal. I have the old version of 1Password that has all of my passwords and stuff, so I can do that. But still, I'm still getting used to things. I had to add Dropbox. I had to add all the different serial numbers for different. I'll launch an app and it'll say, "Oh, you don't have to. You're in demo mode. You have to get the put your serial number in." So that's taken a while. So I'm just getting done there with all that stuff. Once I get that stuff done, then I'm going to be checking out 10-bit H.264, H.265 on the Mac Pro, multicam and stuff, and I'll get a better sense on how that's going. So this is the module that I got. I got this is what I got, the Radeon Pro Vega 2 MPX module with your Mac Pro. Here's something to realize when you get that. If you want to use Infinity Link, okay? If you want to use Infinity Link, you have to get the Vega graphics card. Infinity Link does not work on the lower end graphics card. From what I've read, it doesn't even work on the 16 gigabytes which are coming out or the 8 gigabyte one. You cannot combine, if you get a second graphics card, you cannot combine them with Infinity Link unless it's the Vega 2 or above. That's what I've read on the Radeon site. So the Infinity Link is a connection between two graphics cards. It's a fabric, like a ribbon, that is 5 times as fast as the PCIe connection. So the graphics cards will communicate with each other 5 times faster than if just putting them in a PCIe slot. So that's one of the reasons I got this Vega 2 MPX module. So the MPX module is a container that the Vega 2 card sits inside. It provides power, and it's a gigantic heatsink. So there's no fan in there. So the ports and buses, you have 2 buses on it, which is normal, bus 0 and bus 1. If you have very intensive use of a Thunderbolt 3 port, then you want to keep one on bus 0 and one on bus 1. My usage is not that big a deal at this point. So I have the monitor connected via HDMI, and then I have these 2 of these are with a RAID. One is with a USB dock, and I don't know where the other one is going off the top of my head. Oh, I have one going to the Apollo interface. The Apollo interface that I have for audio is connected. It's Thunderbolt 3 and has to be directly connected. So that's why I have the 4 at the bottom already hooked up. But anyway, so we got this module. This is Apple documentation. It's very easy to set up. This is the Infinity Link here, the connection between the two. If you get a second module, so I have this basic one. This is the power supply down here. It's also a module. It also can be removed. User replaceable. This is where my module sits. If I get a second one of these, you can connect them with the Infinity Link, and it communicates 5 times faster than via PCIe. So there's a lot of guys out there on YouTube that have done plenty of testing with, they're testing with 8K, with Red and ProRes RAW and things, and they're doing the testing. That's going to be some intense. I'm not going to get that involved. I don't do any 8K yet. I can shoot 5K with my GH5. I might do some of that and see how that works. But I've had a couple of projects open, but nothing of that's really going to stress it out. And like I said, Logic with all my plugins as well is going to be going to be interesting to see how that works. Let me just check on comments here, if there's any comments coming in. Let's see that. Nope. That's just about it. But anyway, go to fcpx.tv. There's plenty of articles there. 60. You'll never read them all, will you? No. It's impossible. It's impossible. So anyway, everybody, this is Richard Taylor, Final Cut Pro Radio TV Live. I'm going to have an audio version of the podcast, Final Cut Pro Radio, out a couple of days. That'll be my first one that I edit. I edit all my audio podcasts in Logic. I prefer Logic for audio. I can edit basic video audio in Final Cut without any problems, and a lot of people like Final Cut, but I come from a DAW background, so I like Logic a lot. I'm interested to see where we're going to be taking that. Merry Christmas to all the listeners. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, and you can also give it a thumbs up if you like the episode. What was I going to say? You can also, I'm on Twitter, Richard Taylor TV, Facebook, Richard Taylor TV, YouTube, Richard Taylor TV. If you want to follow on Facebook, go to the user group, the Final Cut Pro Radio user group. So it's under groups/Final Cut Pro Radio. My personal Facebook page is public, but it's not about Final Cut Pro and Pro Video. It's very, very little about that. It's more about other things that I deal with, local issues and animal rescues and arts and stuff. So it's not really suited for Final Cut Pro. It's not what it's for. Go to the Facebook page. That'll be fun. So I think I'm going to get off here now. Everybody have a good weekend. Stay warm. That's what I intend to do. And if I don't see you, if I don't come back on before Christmas, we might have one more before Christmas. We'll see. I wish everybody the very absolute best season, Christmas season, holiday season, whatever you celebrate. And we'll see everybody later. My name's Richard Taylor for Final Cut Pro Radio. Thanks for tuning in.